further Westview doesn't include Palmdale as well.
And I don't remember what the
Cole's Kiss.
number the
Is that Cole?
Oh, thanks. Hey, Cole,
That is pretty cool.
I couldn't get.
You have no pasta? No ravioli?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Pasta. Always have pasta.
Call to order of a regular meeting, Goodyear City Council, Monday, March 2, year 2010. And I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Vice Mayor Lord.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you all please stay standing for the prayer? Heavenly Father, we ask for your presence and grace to fill this room, providing us with wisdom and foresight for the council and staff to help solve these challenges facing our city. We pray for a blanket of safety to be placed over our police and fire departments, and especially our armed forces serving throughout the world. In your name, amen.
Finish the first section.
All members of council are here this evening. We have no expenditures to approve or ratify. We do have two communications items. I'd like to start with the CERT and Othel Newbill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are we doing today?
Great.
Gives me a great pleasure once again to present to you all another CERT class. And before I do introduce them, I really want to thank you all very much for the support that you all have given to the CERT program. It is greatly appreciated in each of our classes. I make sure to let those that are volunteering their time and putting forth the effort, I let them know that we do have the support of the council, and some of you have even come and, as you know, in the past been a part of our mock exercises, and so we're really grateful for that. We're going to get right to it. What I'd like to do is present to you all, and we're going to ask them if they would stand as I call out their name. This is class, CERT class 10-1, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to mispronounce someone's name, so I just want to say that up front. We have for this class Julie Anzavino, Gail Danza, Sam Debus. You probably remember Sam. He did a presentation last council meeting. Zeladed DeVille. Okay.
You got it, Tim.
Becky Gibson, Geraldine Glenn, Alexandra Gonzalez, Mickey Hay, Lori Hoban, Muhammad Imran, Cynthia Knott. Okay. Erwin Malamud. No one's thrown anything at me, so. We have Katie Miller, Priscilla Naworski, Shelley Roy, Mary Mary Serrano, Tanya Tanner, John W. Wizerkowski. Good, he's not here. Sherry White, Francis Wiley, and Crystal Yates. This is our CERT Class 10-1, and I just want to know, Mayor and Council, they spend over 20 hours learning about not just family and personal safety, but to be able to assist us if necessary if there is a catastrophic event. At least they are aware of the processes that our public safety would have to go through and how they would connect with the city. So once again, Class 10-1, and we thank you for the opportunity to be able to present them to you this evening.
Thank you very much. Anyone like to comment from council?
I just have one quick thing to say. After a 2-day training of disasters that I went through, I have to tell you, I was so proud to know that our city had these CERT members, and I thank you very much for stepping up and being part of our great city. Good job.
Okay, well, isn't this a larger group than normal? Or?
About average. I think the last class was about 20, 22 as well.
Well, thank you very much for doing this, and your neighbors will appreciate it. They may not tell you that, but in fact they will. And all of us on council are very thankful that you've demonstrated your commitment to the city and to the betterment of your neighbors. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
have a great evening.
Great job.
We now are pleased and proud to present to Mrs. Melissa Wisner a acknowledgement that she is the 2010 Rodell Exemplary Principal Award winner. And if you'd come forward, I'd like to read you this letter, if I could. This is a mayor and council letter of recognition. Mrs. Melissa Wisner, a resident of the city of Goodyear and principal of Barbara B. Roby Elementary School, has brought great honor and credit to her profession and city with her achievement of the 2010 Rodell Exemplary Principal Award. Mrs. Wisner's dedication to educational excellence has distinguished her as a leader in the West Valley and the Litchfield Elementary School District, who through her adherence to the highest values of the teaching profession challenges, nurtures, and inspires all students to reach their highest academic and personal potential. Mrs. Wisner's leadership is reflected in her school's rise to a highly performing school for the past 3 years, and we all know how hard that is to achieve. As student achievement levels have significantly increased in reading, writing, and mathematics. Mrs. Wisner is an innovator of teaching methods that serve to motivate and empower teachers and students and directly contribute to their individual success. Mrs. Wisner has upheld the core values of her school and profession while extending a helping hand to assist families in need by coordinating the distribution of food and clothing. Mrs. Wisner has demonstrated the qualities of character and excellence that are truly respected and admired by her peers, students, and community. For these reasons, the Mayor and Council, on behalf of the City of Goodyear, Arizona, recognize your actions to be valuable contributions to our community in keeping with the finest ideals of citizenship and professionalism. Mrs. Wisner, we are very, very thankful for what you did, and this is an honor that we all hold very close to us, and you're making the city and your school district look even better than we are. Thank you. Thank you.
Council for hosting me this evening. I'm very proud to be here always as an ambassador, not only for my school, but also for my wonderful, wonderful city. So glad to be a resident here. I'm a native Arizonan, and I don't know how many of us can still say that, but love living here. And love to have the opportunity to tell you what an incredible, incredible school and school district that I'm able to work with and with our neighboring districts. And it really, truly does fit the village. And thank you, all of you that are parents and all of you that support education. We need every single one of you to help us do what we need to do. And I can't, this has my name on it many times, but it really should read everyone who cares about kids and does what they can. So thank you
you, Manager.
Thank you very much. Opportunity now for citizens to comment, to address the council on any subject which is not on this evening's agenda. Would anyone like to comment on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move to consent, and I'll ask the city clerk to read the items by title only.
Item A, approve draft minutes of a work session, regular meeting, and special meeting held on February 22nd, 2010. Item B, approve a request from Frank Lamb, representing Hayashi Goodyear LLC, for a new Series 12 liquor license, number 120782260, for Hayashi Hibachi, located at 1480 North Litchfield Road, generally located at the southwest corner of Litchfield Road and McDowell Road. Item C, adopt Resolution 10-1367, ratifying the submission of the grant proposal to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute any and all documents for the award and administration of the grant. Item D, adopt Resolution 10-1365, approving reallocation of assessments for the McDowell Road Commercial Corridor Improvement District. Item E, approve proceeding with Phase 2 environmental assessments on 9 properties as recommended by the Brownfield Citizen Advisory Committee. Item F, approve an extension for a period of up to 1 year ending March 26, 2011 for the Brownfield Citizens Advisory Committee, and authorize the city manager to execute all related documents.
Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Would anyone on council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
Got a question on D. Just
Okay, okay. Question on D, and who was that, Joe? That is finance, or it's Harvey, isn't it? Let's see.
Larry Lane.
What is it? Okay.
Mayor and Council, Larry Lang asked me to step in for him tonight.
Just a quick question, David. Will this create any problem with the current debt service payments that are being made on behalf of the district?
I don't know if I can take that question or not. I might need some help from our finance people.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this will not have any impact on us.
That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Could I have a motion, please, to approve consent agenda?
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Souza, a second from Vice Mayor Lord. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne? Aye. Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, we'll now move to the business part of our agenda. I think we have 3 items. 2 items. No, 3 items, I guess. We'll now consider adopting a resolution authorizing adoption of the Maricopa County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Award. You back?
Mayor and council, good evening again. How are we doing?
How is it looking down at us instead of up? Does that improve it at all?
This is a little up close and personal.
Okay.
I don't mind if you don't mind. Before I jump into this, Mayor and Council, I neglected to mention the help that I get with the CERT program from others. I don't want you all to think that I'm doing it by myself. I'm not the only one teaching classes. I have tremendous help from administration, from volunteers that come in. And so I just want to, I don't think I mentioned them. I introduced the class, but I neglected to mention all the help that I receive from other departments. It's not just the fire department as well, so I want to make sure I say that. All right. This evening, what I'm going to present to you or talk to you about is the Maricopa County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. Always been attacked by television. Got a few bullet points. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. The reason that we're here with this large binder in front of me, it is because of the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. What does this do for us? And we're going to just go through these bullet points. We worked with Maricopa County Department of Emergency Management back in about 2004. And the DMA, or the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000, says, put into law that each jurisdiction or local community needed to have a mitigation plan. So opposed to having 28 separate plans, Maricopa County Department of Emergency Management received a grant. And as you can see on the presentation, on the slide, in 2004 they received the grant and utilized URS. At that time, URS actually did 28 different plans, and that's how we came up with the City of Goodyear Hazard Mitigation Plan. Well, in 2009, when we got together, one of the first things they asked us is, do we really want to have 28 of these plans floating around, or do we want to have one comprehensive plan, because it impacts, we're all up under Maricopa County, the same thing that impacts Avondale impacts us pretty much. So that's one of the things that we decided we wanted to do. What is the benefit of having it? If you all pass this plan through, what it does is, if we recall what happened in January with all the rains, the floods, the damages that we received, because we do have this plan, it allows us right now to work with the state. There was a declaration made. If we did not have a mitigation plan, then we would not have access to the grant funding that's available to do mitigation planning. So also, we would need that for future programs, whether hazard mitigation grant program, as you can see the 4 programs up there, we would need to have this plan in place. What's in the plan? It identifies for not just the City of Goodyear, but for all of Maricopa County, what the hazards are. Okay, what is it that we're faced with? And of course, living in Arizona and Maricopa County, people say there are no hazards, it's too hot, and it only rains one day a year. Well, so it's actually hard to get people to understand that we do need to have a plan in place. So it identifies the hazards that we have, and our purpose is to minimize, if not eliminate, those hazards. So this is what the plan will help us do. Any questions thus far? All right. This was a rather lengthy process. As you can see, we had a multi-jurisdictional planning team with representatives from the county, from the tribes. We represented the cities, the towns, as well as SRP and unincorporated Maricopa County. And each jurisdiction, city or town, also had to have a local team. Once again, this was not anything that I did on my own. We had representatives from Public Works, Engineering, Police, Fire, as well as the Emergency Management. We worked together within the City of Goodyear so that we can bring this information to the multi-jurisdictional planning team. This plan, as you can see, every 5 years it needs to be reviewed, and so this is the process that we're going through. And if you look at A through D, there was in December of 2008, there was a pre-planning kickoff meeting. A lot of people were in the room. And then there were separate meetings that we went through, so we don't want you to think that this was just, we just took what was from 2004, threw it together, and then say, here's the 2009 plan. But there was also public involvement and opportunity for public to to look at the plan. And as you can see, there was really only 2 responses out of all of Maricopa County. Even though it was placed in the newspaper, it was put on every website, it was put on the county as well as the state website. So the opportunity was given to the public, and I really don't blame them. They probably really don't want to read all of this, but the opportunity was out there and the information was posted. And this is just a picture of all the participants that were represented, and when you look at that, you probably want to multiply that for 3 to 5 people, because engineering, Public Works, Police, Fire, all of those were represented for those jurisdictions. So that's the Maricopa County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. Around the department, we affectionately refer to it as the MAC-UMCH.
What?
Exactly. It's the MAC-UMCH. That's what I named it. So that's my presentation. If you have any questions at this time, please feel free to ask.
Could you tell us the hazards in Goodyear?
The hazards that are in Goodyear, you mean like us being in the flood zone and?
Whichever, yeah.
Well, one of the major hazards, what I see, is that we have an airport that is right next to a baseball park. Those are things that concern me. That's my biggest concern. I'm not concerned about flooding, but that is an issue for us as well, okay, because we do have some low-lying areas which impact the debris. We also have the issue of, as you know, when it's high heat days, if we lose electricity for a 24-hour period, then we have to take into consideration where we're going to move those individuals, those families, where we're going to move their pets, which are not necessarily just dogs and cats, but they're horses and pigs and rabbits and snakes. So we have to take that. So we're looking at flooding, we're looking at high heat, we're looking at hazmat incidents. We do have the I-10, so there's no telling what's rolling up and down there. If we get a plume or something like that, it would have an impact on us as well. And, of course, with having schools, that could be an impact as well. So we do have quite a few in our city here.
Okay, we'll get back to the council in a minute, but first, comments from the public. Any comments from the public? Okay, ask the city clerk to read the resolution. Was there one?
Gary had his hand up.
I had a question. You did this plan in 2004, and now it's updated 2009. How many years in advance is this plan good for?
Well, it's looked at annually, but FEMA requires every 5 years we have to bring it back before the council to have it approved, have it updated.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Adopt Resolution 10-1366, authorizing adoption of the Maricopa County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan, providing continued guidance toward greater disaster resistance of the community and region.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Vice Mayor Lord, second from Councilmember Cavalier. Open for council discussion. Councilmember Cavalier.
I just have one question. Is Palo Verde involved in this as far as part of the plan? I mean, does their plan, I didn't see it anywhere on the disc.
Palo Verde is not a part of this particular plan. Palo Verde is part of our emergency operations plan that the city of Goodyear has, but it's also a part of the Maricopa County emergency operations plan, as well as Arizona Department of Emergency Management. So when you look at this is a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. We're really looking at a lot of the natural disasters as well, but specifically for Palo Verde, no. We have other plans that are specific to Palo Verde.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Thank you.
Councilmember Sousa.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lord.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Mayor and council for your time.
Thank you.
We'll now consider accepting the 2009 General Plan Progress Report with Katie Wilkin.
Thank you, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the council. It's time again to look at the progress of the general plan. For the newer members of the council, we are required each year to come to council and the public to update the progress on implementing the general plan. The general plan was adopted, ratified by voters on November 4th, 2003. It was overseen by a 21-member general plan advisory committee led by Mayor Kavanaugh, and the Arizona Planning Association did award it the best comprehensive plan. And once again, these are the members of the GPAC that created the plan, and we always appreciate their work still today. Since the adoption of the general plan, our population has increased by 92%. We've had a 100% increase in dwelling units. The city size has increased by 62%, and the municipal planning area has increased by 83%. The city estimates that our current population is about 64,300. And just to go over this with you quickly, we typically use MAG's assumptions and work with MAG to create our population estimate. But they're using the 2005 special census assumptions because that's the methodology they use, which is a 7.8% vacancy rate. But staff is looking at that and obviously thinking that the vacancy rate has gone up. So what we did was we looked at current trends and assumed that our vacancy rate is probably something more like 10%. And then what we did was we surveyed our multifamily properties and determined that multifamily vacancy is 20%. Using those assumptions, we think our population estimate is probably something more like 64,300. Last year, Council adopted a 2009 to 2013 near-term implementation program, and this is just a sample of that. It included an activity, where that activity, the origination was from, the general plan progress report or the Smart Growth Scorecard, the objective, the purpose of the activity, who would take lead responsibility, if it was identified in the Smart Growth Scorecard, a priority for it, and resources to implement it. In your general plan progress report, you'll see there's an update of these implementation activities, which includes a status and progress. There were 33 near-term implementation activities identified. 11 of those are currently underway, and the other 22 are planned, have planned years, but haven't been begun yet. In 2009, there were 7 map amendments and 2 text amendments to the general plan. These amendments decreased the unit build-out by over 2,000 units, and it decreased the population build-out by over 5,000 people. Since the adoption of the general plan, there have been 31 general plan amendments. 20 of these have been major amendments, and 1 still hasn't been approved by council. And 10 of these have been minor amendments. And 4 of those 31 were text amendments. The rest were map amendments. These general plan amendments have increased the municipal planning area by 112 square miles to 246.6 square miles. The dwelling units have been increased by 108,000 potential dwelling units at build-out, and population has been increased by 236 potential people. And the biggest portion of that, as you could guess, is the Sonoran Valley annexation for those increases. So again, the dwelling unit build-out is 253,000, and we have approximately 24,000 units built, which means we're about 9.5% built out within the city. We have another 83,000 units that have been entitled through the zoning process, and there are almost 11,000 lots out there that have been platted, but there's no house on that lot. The population build-out is 625,000, and our current population is, as I said, about 64,000. So in terms of population, we're about 10% built out. And you can see the population build-outs for each portion of the city listed there. And this is just a chart that shows how we see we're going to be reaching build-out. This uses MAG's population projections to 2035, and then we assumed a 3% growth rate and then a 2% growth rate as we start to near build-out. And this would have us building out around 2060. Looking at each area of the city, the area north of I-10 is approximately 57% built out. There's almost 10,000 units north of I-10. The area from I-10 to the Gila River is about 39% built out. The area from the Gila River to Patterson is only about 3% built out. And then the Sonoran Valley area is minimally built out. There's only about 40 units. And you can see from this chart that over time, our geographic center population is going to change. Right now in 2010, about 18% of our population is south of the Gila River. By the time we get to build out, 18% of our population is going to be north of the Gila River. So our population is just going to shift southward as we get closer to build out. Our jobs to housing ratio currently is 0.7. We have about 17,000 jobs and 24,000 homes. The general plan states that our goal should be between 0.67 and 0.89, so we're right on target with our general plan goal. At build out, we predict that we'll have a jobs to housing ratio of 1.06. Before the 2009 general plan amendments were approved, after we've approved those, we now estimate it to be 1.08, which means about 1 job per house, which is a really great build out to have. We've only had 1 annexation this year, which was 1.3 acres. It was right away. But since the adoption of the general plan, we've had 27 annexations, which have increased our land area by 46,000 acres, which again, the majority of that was the Sonoran Valley annexation. This year, we had 7 planned area developments approved through zoning in 2009. The city center and university parks were part of those. Also Madeira and the Estrella Region 3 preliminary PAD were approved this year. Additional planning efforts to implement the general plan. Obviously, we've been working on the 2010 census. I hope you've all been filling out your forms this week. There have been several CDBG and home program projects we've been bringing to you. We just recently think we're going to be getting some money for park improvements, so that's really great. Obviously, you know more about the city center site design than I probably do, and you know the efforts in that. There was recently MAG adopted the Hidden Valley Framework Study, which was a large regional transportation study in our southern area. We worked on the Sonoran Valley Rural Development Standards to implement our general plan in our newly annexed Sonoran Valley area. There's currently an EIS underway for the Sonoran Solar Energy Project, which is a large energy project in the BLM land to the south. It's not within the city limits. Also, we're working on the EIS for the Sonoran Valley Parkway, which would connect the mobile area to the northern part of the city. We recently adopted a major general plan amendment for the circulation plan, which implemented those Hidden Valley Framework Study recommendations from MAG. You also know that we're working on a user fee study, and you've seen the preliminary results of that. And we're also updating our zoning ordinance right now to make sure that it's in compliance with our general plan and all the policies that are within the general plan. This year, our goals are to finish up. We're helping the Arizona State Land Department preliminary zone their areas within the city. They've already gotten their general plan amendments, so we're assisting them through that. We're also going to complete the zoning ordinance updates, as I said, to make sure it's up to date with the general plan. We're supporting the efforts of the Sonoran Valley National Monument Resource Plan. And this year will also be the year we'll initiate the general plan update later this year. Also, each year, I like to just state we're going to make this report available on our city's website with the general plan, and I just always encourage any citizens that are listening to contact the Community Development Department, Planning Department, if they ever have any questions about what's going on near their land, that vacant land. If anyone's ever thinking of purchasing land in the city of Goodyear and they want to know what's planned, that's what we're there for. We're happy to assist people understand what the plans for the city of Goodyear are. And so they can contact our staff or go to the website and get a lot of good information as well. So that concludes my presentation. The Planning and Zoning Commission did hear this presentation at the February 17th meeting and recommended that council accept the report. And I'd be happy to accept questions you might have.
Thank you. Comments from the public? Seeing none, could I have a motion to accept the 2009 General Plan Progress Report?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion from Vice Mayor Lord and second from Councilmember Cavalier. It's open for discussion. Councilmember Pizzillo.
Hey, quick question. Did I hear average, say for the next 5 years, 2 to 3% growth?
Yes, that's what we're estimating, I think 2%.
About 2 to 3%?
Yeah.
What does that translate into potentially single-family dwelling units?
I'm sorry, Councilmember Pizzillo, I don't know the number off the top of my head. We have been working closely with the Finance Department on what our projections for residential completions will be, permits, and
No,
I just don't know the numbers off the top of my
I
head.
was just kind of fishing for some ideas where we may be able to see our construction sales tax start maybe taking off a little bit. So I imagine it's figured in that 2 to 3%. But if we can just get some maybe information back on that, because I'm kind of curious to see where that may start to take.
I don't know if they have hope underneath that.
I know. I think they probably do, but, for whatever it's worth. Thanks, Katie.
Okay. Hey, Katie, that was a nice presentation.
I'm sorry, I do have
Oh, okay.
one question, one comment. I was happy to see that within the priorities that the design guidelines update will be occurring soon. I did have one question, though, on the partnership on the Sonoran National Monument. This is just a little tiny couple sentences, but within that area, is the wildlife corridor mapped within that? I mean, is there language that points that corridor out within this area?
Thank you, Councilmember Osborne. Again, I'm not an expert on that plan, so I'd have to get back to you. I know that staff has been working with the Game and Fish on wildlife corridor planning, and in fact, we just had a meeting, I think, a couple weeks ago, where all the Sonoran Desert National Monument and BLM and Game and Fish all came together with city staff and discussed future planning and how we can work together. So my guess would be that it is in there. I can't say for sure, but we'll get that information to you. Or, okay.
Just building on what Katie said, the wildlife corridor is actually contained on our general plan as part of the Sonoran Valley amendment that we did a couple of years ago. As it's kind of a preferred corridor reservation. And as Katie indicated, we've been meeting with BLM, Game and Fish, trying to make sure that it stays preserved, because it currently is BLM land now, and it seems to be an ideal location to preserve for wildlife movement. I also have the answer to the 2%, 3% growth. 2% would be about 500 dwelling units. 3% would be about 750. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, can I get a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Okay, we'll now move to construction contract to Nesbitt Contracting for the Goodyear Park and Ride, and Al Gonzalez.
Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here again to give a brief presentation on the Goodyear Park and Ride. I was here probably earlier this year and kind of like updated this just a little bit, not too much. The park and ride, proposed park and ride will be located at the northwest corner of Dysart and I-10, just west of Mimi's Cafe and just south of Lowe's. Project milestones: on December 2nd, 9 bids were received. Out of the 9 bids, 7 bids were deemed non-responsive. 6 of those did not meet the disadvantaged business enterprise DBE requirements set forth by the Federal Transit Administration, FTA. Since the City of Phoenix is a designated recipient of the FTA funding in the county, they're the ones that confirm the DBE compliance. Out of the 7, 1 did not meet the 50% self-performance requirements per MAG Section 1082E. On January 11th, the council approved to award to Wheeler Construction. On February 2nd, we received a letter from Wheeler requesting withdrawal from the contract based off of the passing of the President, John Seibert. March 22nd, here we are. We're here to request to approve to award to Nesbitt Contracting. And if we should move forward, we're looking at starting construction in April with completion date of October of this year. The parking lot ride layout: 400 covered parking spaces. I have a security building, restrooms, a maintenance building, fully landscaped. Here's a rendering of the security building. A rendering of the covered areas, the drop-off and pickup points around the bus loop. A rendering of the maintenance building. Here's a funding breakdown: local funds, ARA funds, federal funds, total costs. 93% of this will be federally funded, and 7% will be local matching funds. And at this time, I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the public? Anyone from the public wish to speak? Yes. Yes, sir. What's the what? What's the purpose of the park and ride?
Park and ride will accommodate, gotta get my cheaters on. 400 cars plus. Give me 1 second here.
Express buses.
And it's intended to create additional travel options for motorists. And it also promotes ride-share and carpooling and van pooling for transit use.
Okay. Seeing no further comments from the public, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion from Vice Mayor Lord and a second from Councilmember Cavalier, and it's to award the contract to Nesbitt Contracting. Open for council discussion.
It's a lot of money.
Councilwoman Osborne.
I just had one question, and this is because I unfortunately don't know a whole lot about the bus system. Now, I know a lot of budget cuts have taken place. We're not going to find that we've built this park and ride system and we don't have any buses going to it. I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't an issue.
No, if the temporary one, if you notice, that's in the west side of Chuck E. Cheese out there. That's actually been occupied and in use. I've seen quite a few vehicles out there, and the buses do make that route through there. So it has been utilized.
But the potential of it being stopped because of lack of funding, that's...
No,
They
that's,
have cut some of the
That's-
routes, but it's public, some of the
just
routes
don't
they've
know,
cut, but
that's
they
why I'm
still have
Yes.
a number of routes.
Okay, yes,
yes.
go ahead.
They do.
And I can comment on that. The RPTA does not have any plans to cut the 3 express buses that come to that park and ride. Plus, I'm working on something else that has not taken place with that park and ride, and I think it should. And so far, I've gotten positive feedback on that. One is the 685 bus, which goes from Phoenix to Ajo and goes through Goodyear and Buckeye and to Gila Bend and then on to Ajo. I've asked them to plan that so that it stops at that park and ride, as well as bus 17A, which goes from Litchfield Road to the Desert Sky Pavilion, and that leaves every 15 minutes. And it would, since it's just a block off of McDowell, there's no reason why that bus couldn't stop in at the park and ride. So those are things, they aren't in the plans, but I'm hoping that those will be additional. Plus, as soon as Buckeye gets their bus park and ride done, which is in the works now, and they hope by a year from now they'll have that done, there'll be one more bus that will be an express bus that will go all the way out to Buckeye, and it will also stop here. So that will give us 4 express buses and 2 possible other buses that will use that. And the Ajo bus has been going on for, what is it, we're having the celebration of the 20th anniversary or something. Anyway, these buses have been there and are used, and the express buses are full every morning and every evening. So I don't see those buses being discontinued.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Souza.
How many city employees are we going to take to man this operation?
How many city employees are going to take to man it? At the initial start, there isn't going to be, the only thing they're going to be doing is maintaining the facility itself. The Parks Department will be maintaining the landscaping. And that's after the initial first year, I should say, initially. But after that, I don't know if we have. It's set up for a security building or for a security officer. Yeah, so it'll be a security officer, but I do not know if they're going to be occupying it the first year or not. Does anybody from Park and Ride have that? I'd have to get back with you, Councilmember Sousa.
I was looking at the crime report the other day, and there's a substantial number of auto thefts, and certainly this is going to be a setup for them. So I think we need to definitely consider security around the clock in that facility. So,
I'll have to get back with you on that. Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Further comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Now move to information, opportunity for council to comment to the public on current events. Vice Mayor Lord?
I attended the Historical Society, and I'm sure you're all aware that they have come out with a book on the history of Goodyear, and it is up for sale. It is for sale. It's a very nice book with lots of pictorial about the history of Goodyear. I recommend it highly. Attended a GPEC board meeting. I also attended the chamber luncheon this week. And I also represented the mayor on Arbor Day for the presentation from the Pebble Creek Dog Companion Club, who donated 13 trees to be planted in the dog park area for a total cost of $1,000, and we certainly appreciate their generosity. And it's always really nice, especially it's from my neighborhood, when we see how thoughtful people are and how much they care about our city to make that type of contribution. So we thank the Dog Companion Club.
City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I want to just inform you that the Major League Baseball Network is here in Goodyear today and tomorrow as part of their 30 teams and 30-day spring training coverage. They covered the Reds today, and the Indians will be tomorrow. And I just wanted to let you know this weekend the attendance at the games were pretty good. Well, actually the attendance, I don't have those figures. The attendance Friday night was 7,200. The attendance Saturday night was 4,500 in that neighborhood, and Sunday night was 7,600. And the Friday night was the Cubs against the Reds, and the Sunday night, the best turnout was the Seattle Mariners against the Indians. And so far this year, you know, we've been suffering reductions in people attending. All of the Cactus League has. Our total attendance in 2008 was 99,824. The total attendance in 2009 was 74,583. So we're down down 25,000 people. We're doing financial analyses right now, and that's for half of the season. So far, there's been this was a comparison of 18 games. That we had 17 games so far this year with one rainout, and this is compared to 18 games last year. So we're down right now 25,241 total attendance. That's all I have this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, comments or questions by the council of the staff?
Are we going to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are we going to question, Mr. City Manager, the action of the legislature relative to the surcharge or the increased price to support baseball renovation in Mesa?
Mr. Sousa, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the question, if I understand it correctly, is are we going to question that action?
Right, are we going to stand by and let it happen, or are we going to take a position?
What we have done, what the city has done to date, is first of all, Romina Korkas, our intergovernmental affairs person, is lobbying strenuously against that. We have hired Jim Norton, who is a lobbyist, in order to represent the city on this particular issue. And we're having pretty good luck right now because the Cubs, they say that they are, Mesa says that they are still interested in this ticket tax. However, the Cubs have said that they are not interested in this ticket tax, and the teams have opposed it pretty unanimously. The team that's probably taken the lead on this is the Cincinnati Reds, which is one of our teams. They have been against it very vociferously. The Cleveland Indians have also been against it, not quite as vociferously, but we have extended our opposition greatly down at the legislature, and at the moment it passed the House of Representatives with nothing in the bill, so they just wanted to get it over to the Senate, and it's now in the Senate, and we don't know where it will go from there, but we believe that there's a pretty good chance that it'll be defeated. The Cubs have said that they are willing to extend the City of Mesa's agreement, that they have to make a decision by this year, and they're willing to extend it for a year, and that will allow time for the state and Mesa and other people to come up with a plan on how to finance this. And so that's basically what I know about it right now, Mr. Sousa.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pizzillo.
That was my question, so thank you.
I have one other question. It's actually, I need some information on how our city deals with the situation. We have, I think, been very strong as a city in wanting to use Goodyear businesses for our services that we require. And it's come to my attention that we have businesses that are in Goodyear, that we've been using their services, but at the same time, that business owes the city money. And I'd like to know what our policy is as to how we recoup some of those funds, where we don't really want to stop using a business because we want to see them succeed, but at the same time, if they're not paying back fees to the city that needs to be paid, how are we going about recouping that? I mean, even if it was something in the thought process of, okay, well, we owe you owe us $500, we owe you $1,000, we'll split the difference, we'll pay you $250, whatever. But I'd like to know what our policy is how we are recouping some of that, and at the same time, still trying to use that Goodyear business.
Thank you, Mrs. Osborne. I believe that our policy is that, as of now, our policy is that we will take those businesses to collections should they continue not to pay. I believe I know the business you're talking about, and I don't want to mention it, but the fact is we have given them notice that they have to pay up, or we will take other actions. We are going to send that one to collections, and we will also refuse to answer calls that business makes to the city in the future.
Well, and I understand that, but for the future, if this was to happen to other businesses, and we want to be proactive, we want to continue to use those services, but it seems like there would be a simpler way of saying, well, we'll pay you 65%, but we're taking 45% off the top. I mean, there's got to be some other way of, doing that with an ease on the business itself and still be collecting.
I understand that.
Well, I'm just saying, that's why I'd like to really see the policy itself.
We will let you know that specifically what that is, and in specifics what this business is, what we're doing to this business in order to collect from it. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further action, we do need to move back to our work session, and we meet about 5 after 7. Is that all right? Yeah. And meeting's adjourned.